Secretary says now we're not using it to unclog the subprime mortgages and the derivatives that came out of it. We're not going to tell you what we're going to spend it for. I mean, now they're back terrorizing us again.
Yeah,
saying,
I mean, it was really basically a bait and switch is what it was, the whole time. And, I criticized the plan when they first proposed it. I said it wouldn't work because it was impossible to buy these troubled assets because you'd have to overpay for them. Otherwise, you would bankrupt all the entities you were trying to bail out, so there was no way the government could make a profit on it. But if you remember, the way they sold it to us, when it didn't pass and the Dow Jones dropped about 1,000 points, I think it went from 13,000 to 12,000 or something, they said, aha, you see, the Dow collapsed because we didn't pass it, so now we need to pass it to help the stock market. Well, they passed it, and the Dow is less than 8,000 right now. So obviously, they tried to convince us that we needed to pass that bill because we had to get the stock market to go back up. But, look where the stock market is now, even though we have the bill.
And now they're claiming that the American people are on the hook for these trillions and trillions of dollars in interest to the very banks that we loan the money to, and then the banks, the big international banks, won't tell Congress where the money is.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no transparency here in this process, and the whole thing is it's corrupted. I mean, right now there's a big debate over executive pay and bonuses, and can companies take government money and then pay big bonuses? And this is a debate that we shouldn't even have because it shouldn't even be an issue because none of these companies should have got any government money in the first place. They should have been allowed to go bankrupt. But now we bail them out, and now we have the governments getting involved in the decision-making. First it's pay. Now they're telling some of these companies they have to cancel some of these sales conferences they had, in Vegas or in Miami. I mean, but this is just the beginning. I mean, the government is going to get involved in every aspect of running these companies. It would have been better to let the companies go bankrupt and let these resources be reallocated in the private sector. Now we're entrenching them in the government sector where they're never going to be efficient.
Let's expand on that. Look what happened with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac with quasi-government control, and they say that's one of the big sources of all of this. They're saying they're going to give bailouts to auto companies, but then control even who they can sell a car to. So we see the entire economy basically being taken over by government, and then through extension.
And the crazy thing about it is they're saying, look, we want to put strings on the money that we give to Ford and General Motors. We want to tell them how to make cars. We want them to make fuel-efficient cars or something like that. So somehow, Washington, D.C., these guys can't even, make a profit running the post office. That somehow we're going to put the people who are in charge of the post office in charge of the auto industry, and somehow they're going to do a better job than the people who have been running it in the past. I mean, come on, give me a break. The government doesn't have a clue what kind of cars people should make. They don't even how to make a car at a profit. These are decisions that need to be made in the free market by entrepreneurs that have a risk of losing money.
Yes. Peter, I want to go to calls here in the last 10 and 15 minutes with you, but before we do that briefly, they know things are imploding. They know they're collapsing, and then, as you said, they're going to be able to consolidate the power and actually use this crisis for themselves at the expense of our civilization. It appears. The 20,000 troops that Northcom says they want to use against the American people. The Army War College saying they're getting ready to engage the American people. These are amazing developments. Bills introduced to merge local police into FEMA centers and FEMA camps for mass relocation. This is the stuff of conspiracy theory, but it's now front page news. The Wall Street Journal came out last week and said the answer to the imploding economy is a new bubble into a North American Union and a marrow. So your take on that?
I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, who knows? I mean, I think there's a lot of rumors there and, conspiracy theories, but I don't think the Canadians would be stupid enough to go for it. And I don't think the Canadian citizens would go for it. I mean, there's a lot of resentment of the U.S. So, number one, I don't think Canada's going to do it. So, I don't know that we're going to have a union with Mexico. I mean, I just don't, a union that the U.S. can, coming together with Mexico. I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't seem to think that's in the cards.
Well, they're now proposing.
I think there's more of a chance of our union breaking up. I mean, I think over the next 5 to 10 years, you might see some states, Alaska, Texas, various states, trying to break away from the United States and leave. I think it's more likely that the union we have now gets smaller than that we include other countries.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of government reports saying that that the United States may break up into pieces. Of course, the globalists will love that. They'll just snap up the pieces that are left. Kerry in Georgia, you're on the air with Peter Schiff of Euro Pacific Capital. Go ahead, Kerry, if you want to talk.
I've worked for PrisonPlanet.tv for 3 years, and I love your work. My question for Mr. Schiff, I've noticed that there's been a lot of foreclosed homes in my area, and that they're now selling for a third of half of the value, and I'm wondering what I've been making an extra 2.5 payments a year on my mortgage, and I've gotten a lot of equity built up, and I'm wondering what's happening to the equity that is built up in my home.
Well, I mean, whether the equity is there or not, I mean, just because you're paying down your mortgage doesn't necessarily mean you're building equity. I don't know what you paid for your house, and I don't know what you can sell it for. I mean, your house, you could have negative equity in your home despite the fact that you've been making all these extra payments. It all depends on what you paid for your home and how much you bought for it. You might have overpaid for it. I don't know.
Yeah, let me give listeners a tip, and then Peter continue. People are going to the bank and making them renegotiate the value of the home, or they're threatening to walk away, and banks are buckling. Peter?
Yeah, look, the borrower has all the cards, particularly the borrower with little or no equity in their homes. You can simply go to your bank and say, look, if you want me to keep making the mortgage payment, you better renegotiate the mortgage. And the key is, in the past, you really couldn't do that, because if they renegotiated the mortgage, the difference between what you used to owe and what you owe now would have been taxable income, and you would have had a big tax bill. But the government, put a stop to that for 5 years or so. So Americans have a window of opportunity where there's no downside to threatening your lender, because you can get a lower mortgage. Worst case scenario, you just walk away. Just give the house to the lender, which is what they don't want. But you can give them an asset that has negative value. And there's plenty of houses on the market to rent. I mean, most people would be better off renting anyway. Chances are you can find a home that's as nice or nicer than the one you live in now, where the rent is lower than your mortgage.
All right, stay there, Peter. Final segment. More calls straight ahead.
Attention. This is an extremely urgent, self-reliant news bulletin. If you have ever wanted to produce your own cheaper-than-dirt survival food, this is going to be the most important message you will ever hear. Here is why. This network has just learned of a new video course that reveals the secrets of how to safely prepare and store all types of survival foods in an event of social unrest and food shortages here in the U.S. Grain shortages and hunger are spreading across the globe. Will troops guard the food supplies in the U.S. this fall? Don't wait. Learn the food shortage skills that can keep you and your family alive in a crisis. Get the details at foodshortageusa.com. That's foodshortageusa.com. Or you can call toll-free 877-327-0365. Don't wait for empty shelves. Go to foodshortageusa.com while you still have time. www.foodshortageusa.com. Or toll-free at 877-327-0365. Act now.
A day unlike any other in the long course of American history, a terrorist act of war against this country.
The enemy struck America on September 11th. But who is the enemy?
Bin Laden.
This is his MO.
We have to look to the Middle East. We have to look to Osama bin Laden.
Fabled Enemies is the first 9/11 film to take a close look at the terrorist ties to intelligence networks inside the United States.
Some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S.
I'm aware that some Israeli citizens have been detained.
Bin Laden's connections to the CIA, the hijackers' ties to the FBI, the Saudi Arabian connection, the Israeli intelligence network, warnings and war games, the shadow government, and much, much more. Fabled Enemies. Get the DVD at Infowars.com or see it in super high quality, along with hundreds of other titles at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Millions of Americans are beginning to realize the enormity of the economic and political problems facing the U.S. and the world. And for the first time in their lives, they are feeling the need for preparedness. Ready Reserve Foods has been in continuous operation, manufacturing the finest in dehydrated foods for almost 40 years. Ready Reserve is the manufacturer. Unlike other companies that just broker canned foods, Ready Reserve controls the quality from start to finish with double enameled cans and nitrogen packaging. When purchasing from Ready Reserve Foods, you are buying factory direct at wholesale prices. Other companies are quoting delivery times of 1 to 2 months, while Ready Reserve ships within 5 business days. Many companies do not even offer a catalog. We will be more than happy to send a catalog to you free of charge. Dial 1-800-453-2202, 1-800-453-2202, or visit our website at ReadyReserveFoods.com. Factory direct, wholesale pricing from Ready Reserve Foods. Call us at 1-800-453-2202.
Up on screen at prisonplanet.tv, we have the new website, the ObamaDeception.net. The ObamaDeception.net. You can read about the film, watch the trailer in high quality, read articles on Obama, our proof, the straight scoop. Our guest is Peter Schiff. Before he leaves us in about